Hello, everyone, and thank you for listening to the Fabrication Friday podcast. I'm your host, Joe Fairley, certified prosthetist, 3D printing enthusiast, and owner of Ascent Fabrication. Fabrication Friday is an all-around fun time where I talk about 3D printing applications, conduct interviews with industry leaders, and much more. Come join us every Friday for an informational discussion around the evolution of the additive manufacturing field and how we utilize various digital workflows and 3D printing methods in our daily work at Ascent Fabrication. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Fabrication Friday podcast. I'm your host, Joe Fairley. Just got me this week, so we're going to be kind of going over a little bit about what Ascent Fabrication has been up to the past couple of weeks. Haven't put out a lot on social media over the last 2 weeks because we've been traveling around quite a bit. So in the beginning of September here, we were at the AOPA conference, the American Orthotic and Prosthetic Association conference in Indianapolis, Indiana. Great conference. Honestly, there were, I think, digital workflows and 3D printing kind of stole the show as far as the exhibitors go. And also, really getting into quite a few talks that were actually, going on at the event the entire week, which is interesting to see, some of the new players coming into the field over the last year or even 2 years. Ascent Fabrication is also only 2.5 years old now, but we're seeing a lot more, clinicians actually taking advantage of the benefits of the digital workflow. And so, benefits being, you can work a little bit more efficiently with maybe less staff and have probably a little bit quicker turnaround time in some cases with some possibly lower material and overhead costs than, having quite a few technicians that are very skilled at their craft. We're kind of seeing this technician role change just a little bit in the field. You're seeing more and more biomedical engineers and mechanical engineers, getting into the field of prosthetics and orthotics, mainly because they have more background in the digital workspace. So working in CAD, working with slicer programs, they might already have some 3D printing experience. So kind of saw that sort of evolve, within our time at AOPA. We had, a great experience showing what we're doing at Ascent Fabrication in prosthetics and orthotics. Thank you very much to the folks over at Comb, COMB, Comb Scan. That's the iPhone app from an iPhone 10 or newer that is built specifically for the prosthetics and orthotics industry. We've had great success with it ourselves, actually scanning over patients' limbs, as well as scanning the inside of casts or sockets as well. So all very, very doable with Comb, down to 1 to 2 millimeters of accuracy, plenty much for what we need here in the prosthetics orthotics industry for most applications. So thank you to Comb for kind of hosting me there at their table. Jonathan Naft, Alex Goodman, those guys over there are great. And we greatly appreciate that time over there. Again, getting around to seeing some of the digital things that were going on, some digital technicians that were over at the Bionic Prosthetics Orthotics group. They have a lot of 3D printing going on over there in their clinic in the Indiana and Midwest region and expanding, quite rapidly here. So, seeing all the different 3D printing companies there. I mean, we saw on the high end of things, HPMJF was there. We had Formlabs SLS represented, and they had actually one of their fused printers on the floor, which was pretty nice to see. You had Mosaic Manufacturing, Mitch Deborah, over there with the array system. Was really cool to see finally in person for myself. I'm probably missing a couple others. Obviously, Filament Innovations was there. Mike Gorski had his new Icarus on display, just pumping out sockets left and right in about an hour and a half. for his one below the knee prosthetic socket that he has on repeat there. So, a lot of actual 3D printers were present at the event. PVA Med as well, had their new Emergence Pro 3D printer there. And it was nice to see that a lot more companies are really asking the right questions, getting into the field of, how do we go about implementing these digital workflows in the most effective ways, in ways that clinicians want to see it being implemented. So that's very refreshing from the software side of things as well, to see that, we're really trying to focus in on how can we truly be efficient about providing prosthetic and orthotic care in different and more innovative ways for the patients that we see. So that was really, really cool to get that experience at AOPA. Then the following week, we were out in Charleston, South Carolina with Ben Jameson from Jameson Prosthetics. Ben's got a cool thing going on down there in Charleston. He's got his own clinic, sole clinician out there. And we were working with Ben during our in-house training session. So over the course of 2 days, we kind of go through from start to finish 3D scanning, clinical digital modifications in whatever software that you want to use. We'll actually give demonstrations of several of the softwares that are out there for you, and then go through some device design. So we use Autodesk Mesh Mixer for 95% of what we design for these organic shapes. So thinking about limbs that we're scanning, those custom shapes. Mesh Mixer works really, really well with the workflows that we've developed at Ascent Fab, and it just works. For FDM printing, there are a lot of applications for FDM printing. In terms of the lower cost of some materials, some faster turnaround times, than going MJF. So we were working with Ben there in Charleston with 2 artillery Sidewinder X2s. The artillery Sidewinder we've seen as the kind of best out of the box. Don't really have to modify the printer really at all. Right out of the box, we've had it printing some prosthetic covers, flexible inner sockets, PETG test sockets, getting into more polypropylene applications with sockets and lower extremity orthotics on the pediatric side and adult. It's got a really, really big build volume, 300 by 300 by 400, and just really nice and kind of intuitive to use. So we were rolling, very early on with Ben, and had a great time, teaching him how to go through that entire process, start to finish, to where he wants to be. We were printing out a foam flex air flexible inner socket using the ColorFab VarioSure filament, where we have integrated cushions around bony anatomy for below the knee, could be above the knee as well, prosthetic patients, or just otherwise around, bony anatomy in general. Could be lower extremity inner boot that has, cushions around the malleoli, building up on that model slightly in Mesh Mixer, and then utilizing slicing techniques to have a nice, cushion in there is really, pretty streamlined and easy to accomplish. So had a great time with Ben. We're going to be working with Ben from here on out in terms of continuing on his education in how to do some of these design steps and designing new and different devices that he's going to want to do. So we include in this training, we have kind of a monthly support package where you get 2 hours of video calls per month, and then unlimited calls, text, emails, whatever you need at whatever time you need. Give us a call at Ascent Fab and reach out and ask about, something that's going on with your printer. So, we are building our team at Ascent Fab currently. We've got Spencer, the 3D printing technician, that's on site and actually doing some 3D printing and learning more about these machines so that he can help me, go out and do some of these trainings and, work with on the support side of things. So if clinicians call, Spencer will also be a point of contact there, which is great. We've got one student actually out in the University of Washington, student in prosthetics and orthotics, Matt Buletti. Matt has been doing a wonderful job with us recently, designing a lot of our prosthetic covers. I will say that our prosthetic covers have come a long way in the last 6 months, really. We've learned a lot about, how to really fine tune some of these little nuances with different scanners, different tolerances with different materials, and trying to get something that is, very organically shaped, the mirror image of someone's sound limb, and then interfacing that with a prosthesis. So for those customers that have been working with us on the prosthetic covers, thank you very much for your support and feedback. We've been very, very closely working with you to try to make these better, and I do think they are getting to be very nice and streamlined now. So kudos to Matt for working hard on that. You might notice that we have a new, I can't point in the right direction here, Ascent Fabrication logo. So the new logo was inspired, out of the kind of evolution of Ascent Fabrication and where we're headed. So getting more into a contract manufacturing space with different industries, as well as being very, very involved in the prosthetics and orthotics industry. I felt it was time to kind of revamp things a little bit. You'll see that the website is completely redone. There will be more updates to the website coming soon, with more testimonials from some of our customers, as well as some patients, and these demonstrations of pictures and videos of some of the prints that we're doing and how they're working on patients. So look out for that pretty soon. Also with Ascent Fab that just arrived this week, I am totally stoked about. We have the Blackbelt conveyor belt 3D printer that has now landed in the US, coming from Belgium. Thank you very much to Peter and Iris from OMD 3D / Blackbelt. They represent and actually custom manufacture these Blackbelt 3D printers in Belgium. And they have mine set up as an extra wide build volume. So it's 525, 525 in basically X and Y, kind of flipping the Z, call the Z the bed itself, because you have kind of infinite, printing in that direction. And we've got dual extrusion. So kind of neat, we could either do IDEX, dual extrusion, independent dual extrusion, where we are printing, 2 different prints, like say photorthotics side by side. You're probably spitting out 10 to 12 pairs of those a day in just a couple hours per print per photorthotic, or printing in a more production level status. We are going to be doing kind of more serial production of some parts for a couple of our local customers here in the upstate New York region. And really getting into like figuring out what other applications we could have for the Blackbelt. One instance that we've kind of been pretty interested in here recently is printing flooring. So printing very, very long parts, right, is kind of one of those other, fortes of the Blackbelt. So pretty excited to get that installed. We've got Peter and Iris actually with me coming this Monday on site to help with that install. And we're going to be putting together a nice unboxing manual for our other customers here in the United States and in North America, really, for the Blackbelt. So looking forward to pushing that out. We've got quite a few interested parties in the Blackbelt, and we can actually print parts for you before you purchase a Blackbelt from us. So if you're looking for your specific part to be verified that the Blackbelt's the best printer for that job, we'll work with you and get your part printed before you commit to a machine. So looking forward to seeing what that Blackbelt can do. You might also notice that over the last couple days, I have introduced a new prosthetics clinic that I have started under the umbrella of Ascent Fabrication. So Amplify Prosthetics is our new clinic, right out of the same location. And we're looking to expand, into some more office space here as well soon, still in downtown Saratoga Springs, New York. So Amplify Prosthetics, I really wanted to touch on kind of why I'd want to start a clinic, why I kind of want to think about providing care in a very different way for prosthetic patients specifically. So we are just solely prosthetic oriented at Amplify Prosthetics, and what we're getting into is an initiative. We'll call it a pilot program to see how well this could develop in terms of the type of care that we're providing. So direct prosthetic care, coining that term as direct prosthetic care, similarly to the successful direct primary care approach, where you go in and you see your primary care doctor and you basically pay a monthly fee to go see that doctor, locally to you, obviously, and very much more accessible, actually, in most cases. And that primary care doctor wants to spend more time with you in your appointment, appointment times lasting up to like an hour and a half. So that physician, really gets to know you as a person and understand exactly what your needs are, so that they can help try to integrate some preventative, medicine in place. So the primary care approach, working off of a kind of monthly payment plan, where you then pay, much more reduced cost for any type of like lab fees and other drug medications that you might need. So in that same way of thinking, some of the benefits of that obviously are you're not involving insurance companies. So without involving third-party payers, I see it as an avenue to provide faster care, to provide more personalized care for someone that might otherwise benefit from a specific prosthetic foot or a prosthetic knee that, otherwise their insurance company, for whatever reason, won't pay for. Whether it's because, the clinician doesn't have all the right justifications for that, whether it was appealed several times and denied by the insurance company because maybe there was a lesser form of that device that, they could otherwise provide to that patient that the insurance company said that they should be providing. There's all these different reasons why, there's these different hoops that you have to jump through to go through insurance companies. And I think that, there are other ways to doing things. There are other ways to provide this high level of care where we can very intimately work with the patient and, effectively provide the exact prosthesis that they need, at a timeline that is drastically less than, going through some traditional means in most cases. So, being able to provide someone a below the knee, above the knee, upper extremity prosthesis, finger prosthesis, partial foot prosthesis, with at cost componentry. So if I was to go to a distributor and purchase any of my alignable componentry, or otherwise a prosthetic foot or prosthetic knee, in this model, I would be passing down those savings, those discounts, however I would get those from distributors, directly to the patient. So, they're actually physically paying for their device, taking ownership over their device, doing some more research on, what different prosthetic components they might benefit from themselves as well. This is all about empowering that patient to take more part in their own care, and make sure that they are, providing themselves with the best possible care that they could be receiving as well. Working very, very closely still with the surgeons, other physicians, physical therapists, occupational therapists. The circle of care, this holistic approach is still very much ingrained within this idea of direct prosthetic care, just without some other hoops of going through insurance companies. So if you want to learn a little bit more about how I plan to provide direct prosthetic care to amputees, in my region. And if you're hearing this across the nation, I would love to work with you as well. We are very open to having patients come and travel to us, working on very specialized cases, whether you're a more of an athlete that can't otherwise get those services through your own prosthetic provider. I have a lot of experience in providing running prosthetics. With my background with Ryan Fan down in Savannah, Georgia. He's a Paralympian as well, certified prosthetist and co-founder of Amputee Blade Runners. Working with them a little bit on in the past with providing running prosthetics really gave me that great knowledge base to start from. And since then, I've provided a couple others as well. So looking to help out some runners. Otherwise, if you're not a runner, but you're looking to increase your activity levels, we can still provide those high activity prostheses to you through this model that, again, sometimes might, for some reason or whatever, might be have some red tape around it that you might not be able to get that from your insurance company, either within a reasonable amount of time, or if at all, because of some other reason that was hung up either on the surgeon side of things, physician, or the clinic side of things, that clinician not having all their ducks in a row and the justifications to be able to provide that for you. So we're looking to do this a little bit differently in this pilot program approach. Would love to speak with anyone who is an amputee that wants to learn more about how they could benefit from our services. Again, with it, whether you're in the region of upstate New York, the Northeast, or elsewhere in the country, we'd love to work with you to have you travel out and come see us to be able to provide that exact care that you're looking for. So under these plans, there are a few plans that are noted on the amplifyprosthetics.com website for different levels of the kind of amount of care that someone might need, whether you're going to be seen once a month, twice a month for kind of regular follow-up, or just unlimited amounts with maybe some added benefits here too. So working with some physical therapists and working with a local personal trainer to have some of these hourly, monthly, personal training exercises and, physical therapy appointments built into this program as well. So we're going to be working very closely with some of our, local partners to, again, provide some different care for people. And, I think there are a lot of reasons why this approach could do very well, not just here in upstate New York, but elsewhere around the country. So, looking forward to starting that, here and getting that rolling. So Amplify Prosthetics, go check that out, the new website, and reach out to me at joe@amplifyprosthetics.com to learn more about how you can become a patient of ours. So I wanted to also just touch on a couple of housekeeping things here. So we are going to be showcasing Ascent Fabrication at the Fuse Hub New York State Innovation Summit here also in Saratoga Springs, New York at the City Center, October 16th and 17th, Monday, Tuesday, and bringing a couple printers over there and showing that around. They have kind of a pretty neat approach to this kind of convention where they have this commercialization competition. So of some of the companies that are displaying some of their innovative work in various, technological industries, whether that be in the medical side of things or just electrical, software, what have you. There's going to be this commercialization competition going on. So I'm excited to learn more a little bit about that, and just meet some more people in our local area. If you are around in the Northeast, would definitely, welcome you to come visit us at the Innovation Summit. Otherwise, on the 17th, I'm planning to have another open house for Ascent Fabrication. So definitely going to have some fun there and display some of the 3D printing that we're doing, and talk with more local people here in terms of how we can start to expand out, our local outreach, working with some local colleges, high schools to get some of this kind of, education around additive manufacturing into those spaces as well. Continuing to build out the brick and mortar side of Ascent Fabrication. So being able to walk into our shop at Ascent Fab right here on Broadway in Saratoga Springs and pull off the shelf a spool of filament that you're looking to print yourself at home. And purchase printers from us. So the Artillery Sidewinder X2, we'll have that readily available for purchase. And as well as talking with us about the other couple printers that we support, namely the Filament Innovations Icarus, which we have a little brother, the Kratos, which is very, very similar, and then the Blackbelt conveyor belt printer. So really looking forward to connecting with some of you on that. If you're not in the area but interested to talk with us more about what we have going on at the Innovation Summit, Amplify Prosthetics, or otherwise the couple printers and some training, definitely reach out to me at joe@ascentfab.com by email there to learn more about how we could help you, bring 3D printing into your practice. There really isn't a big reason why we shouldn't be using additive manufacturing in prosthetic and orthotic clinics now. There are a lot of ways to utilize it that can be very much on the low end, low barrier to entry. Autodesk Mesh Mixer is free. There are free slicers that we use, Prusa Slicer, namely. And then getting into some, lower end, desktop level printing like the Artillery Sidewinder at $300. If you go through this training with us, we'll get you up and running, within the first couple hours of, utilizing those softwares and that printer and some of our materials and printer or slicer profiles, and make sure that you're really optimized to use this in your clinic immediately. So, reach out to us for some more training and support. We'd love to chat with you in terms of how we can make that work for you, your specific applications in your clinic. Also getting into a little bit more silicone 3D printing. So working with RLP Rapid Liquid Print out of Massachusetts. We are revamping our custom silicone liner with some very nice advancements and updates to come, namely having some fabric added to the outside, as well as having a locking liner option. So that's to come in the next few months, probably coming out with some of those applications in the first quarter of next year. And working with a few clinicians in the meantime to make sure that these processes are completely hashed out. If you are interested in trying out this custom directly 3D printed silicone liner, we'd love to work with you on that side of things. The cushion liners, I mean, we're working with those already with patients. It's just the applications of the adding a fabric to the outside, as well as having a locking liner approach to a custom shape, is something that we're working towards. So those are some updates from us at Ascent Fabrication and now Amplify Prosthetics. Thank you very much again for everyone listening to the podcast. And if you have any, if you're interested in learning about something specific, again, reach out to me. I'd love to hear from our listeners to see what more that they would want to hear. Next week, we'll be bringing back the print of the week and the tech tip of the week. Not to say that we haven't been printing over the past few weeks, but just so many things going on, having to focus on a couple different things at once. So those couple additions to the podcast will be back next week. Pretty excited to have Color Fab come on next week. So the CEO, Bert, from Color Fab, really looking forward to having him on the podcast and learning more about kind of how Color Fab came to be. So thanks again for tuning in today, and looking forward to next week's podcast. And again, thank you for everyone listening. Reach out and rate the podcast if you again want to hear something different, or you want to be a guest on the podcast too. Reach out and let's chat. All right, thanks.